Everybody, and today I am here to review the movie I've been anticipating to review ever since this came out in January, Miller's Girl. So I was going to see this in theaters, but apparently they weren't showing it at the theater I mainly go to, and there weren't many showings for it. So apparently this movie was just dumped on a Netflix randomly. And I finally saw it, and I gotta say, this movie kind of disappointed me, even though I put it on my most anticipated movies because of Jenna Ortega. So this is about a high school girl who forms a strange relationship with her teacher, played by Martin Freeman, Bilbo Baggins himself. So, the movie's topic, if you're sensitive to it, this movie's probably not for you, and if you don't have to watch, but if you watch anyway, cool. But, this movie was really strange, in my opinion, because of the subject matter. Because it's literally about Jenna Ortega basically falling in love with her teacher, and the teacher also falls in love with her. But the teacher realizes that he could be defamation his career as a teacher. Apparently he wanted to be a writer, but he ended up having a teaching job instead. But our fellow character, played by Jenna Ortega, is Cairo Sweet. And Cairo, she lives by herself. I mean, her parents are there, but they're kind of just not really there. We don't see her parents at all, because apparently they went out on vacation, I'm pretty sure. But Cairo just lives by herself in her rich home, and she walks into the woods to go to school, and she even says she's the scariest thing there. We even hear creepy music, so this movie almost kind of becomes a horror movie, but not really. But once this relationship starts, the movie just becomes super weird. The teacher basically has her go to private sessions of people speaking out literacy or whatever, those kind of events. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. And Jenna Ortega also smokes a cigarette in this movie. So Jenna Ortega became infamous for smoking a cigarette. And I don't know if I gave my opinion on the topic, but I don't know, it's her life. If she wants to do that, then that's really on her. But her mom called her out on it, and it's honestly even a weirder shocker to see her smoke in this movie. She smokes with Martin Freeman in this movie, and they do a bunch of things a student and teacher should not be doing together at all, and the teacher would definitely be fired if this happened in real life. And they're even exchanging phones, but once we get to the infamous scene, basically the main plot of this movie is where the teacher assigns Cairo to write a short story of her favorite author, and she chose the author Henry Miller. And apparently he's not school appropriate, but she writes a story, and it's very inappropriate. It's very adult, because there's a lot of swearing in this movie. But once this teacher gets this, he basically is going to have her have a step up in the midterm, which is a sign of favoritism. But the most infamous scene in this movie that made people go, what the hell? Is when for some reason Martin Freeman has the phone, and he goes to Cairo's house, and she's wearing a dress. A very nice dress. They even talk on the phone. We even get this nice shot of Jenna with some bug on her leg. But once the teacher goes to the house, music plays, and then he ends up kissing her, and it's super weird, because I know Jenna Ortega is an adult, but come on. This is a 30-year age gap. This is that Martin Freeman could be Jenna Ortega's dad. It's just weird, in my opinion. I don't care if they're adults or not. One's way too young, and the other is way too old for her. But I know it's just acting, and they're just, that's what Jenna said in her defense of this movie. So did Martin Freeman. But yeah, it could be considered acting, but the subject matter, the context, it's just weird. But as this is going on, they also have this one friend I think her name is Willie. She's like best friends with Cairo, and I think they're also romantically involved with each other. But she's also flirting with another teacher. I forget his name, but I'll look on the cast list. He's played by, I don't even know how to say that name. His character's name is Boris Fillmore. His character, he apparently is texting to teach Willie in this movie. And yeah, that's also inappropriate. And it feels like no one is a good guy in this movie. Like, there's no good people in this at all, besides maybe the vice principal. Like, everyone's got a trick up their sleeve or a backstabbing up their sleeve. But once Cairo turns in her midterm assignment, Mr. Miller ends up reading it in a private room where his wife doesn't notice. And his wife is even suspecting what's going on. And he ends up reading it out loud. And he just reads it, and then it also shows like Jenna reading it, and he ends up doing something pretty dirty. But then he decides to backtrack, and he decides that he's not gonna let Cairo turn it in. And says it's too inappropriate, and he says that they are just a student and a teacher, and that's all. But Cairo ends up reporting Mr. Miller and threatening his career. And we get this wild scene where Jenna Ortega gets this monologue where she's threatening the teacher. It's quite intense, intimidating. But the vice principal ends up interviewing both of them. And we get two sides of the story. And it causes Mr. Miller to get fired from his job. And even the other teacher I mentioned earlier, he ends up asking if he has feelings for Cairo. And he just ignores the question. But before they can go to court, the movie ends with the two staring at each other. And that's Miller's girl. So yeah, this is a weird movie. And the movie was mainly just kind of boring. Like, it starts off slow and it's slow throughout. It's just a lot of people arguing. And even the man's wife leaves him after she learns what he's doing, and she acts like a dick in this movie. It's quite crazy. But as for Jenna Ortega herself in this movie, I thought she did a great job. She has an accent in this movie, but to be honest, I don't think this is my favorite of the movies I've seen of Jenna Ortega. Last year I saw Finest Kind, and I think that movie was boring, but I think I like Miller's Girl a little bit more, but I don't know. Beetlejuice was definitely a better Jenna Ortega movie, and I am excited to talk about that movie. But this doesn't ruin Jenna Ortega or Martin Freeman's career. This is just some small movie, in my opinion. So I'd probably give it probably a 5 out of 10 or a 6, like a very low 6. How about a 5? 5 out of 10 stars. But yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna review next. It should be fun. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.